Tucker's brain is first on the wisp.
Okay.
Tucker's brain is first on the wisp train. Don't make me laugh.
Okay. All right. Fine.
All right.
Okay.
Tucker's brain is first on the wisp train. Maybe T'Pol will do alrighty wearing her little nightie. But since Phlox can't swap, he'll have to play the cop on the next episode of Enterprise.
I'm Josh.
I'm Justin.
And this is From There to Here. Well, that was a great opening.
I worked really hard on it.
Really, yeah. You spent like 10 minutes on that. Okay. So this is season 2, episode 18. It's called The Crossing. And according to the IMDb, this is what it's about. Enterprise is held captive by non-corporeal beings who claim to be explorers. And on the IMDb, this is rated
7.8.
I think this is lower than that.
Really?
I think this is going to be in the sixes.
Okay.
6.9.
Okay.
Yeah. Not too great.
Apparently not.
What do you have?
Not much. Rick Berman described the episode as
Berman.
Fuck you, Rick Berman. Fuck you, Rick Berman described the episode as a, quote, heavy science fiction episode that I'm very pleased with. And that one of our wisps that's one of our what? Oh, I'm sorry, I was reading wrong.
Justin didn't pre-read this stuff, apparently.
That's the one with our wisps that will remind people of the alien clouds from the original series, which I actually know what he's talking about.
You mean Obsession?
Obsession, yes.
Yeah.
Which actually would have been kind of cool had they made it actually look like the wisp clouds from Obsession, but they didn't.
And Obsession, they would smell something too.
Yeah,
like
they would
a sweet smell.
Yeah, like a sweet smell, but
Yeah.
then it was just a white cloud.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been
That
really
would have been
cool.
a better episode, I think.
That would have been neat.
If they did literally connect it to those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
That would have been super. Man, what a bummer. He kind of blew it there.
Yeah, not just an homage, but just
Have it be that.
Sure.
That would have been super cool.
Yeah, because
There was never any explanation given in TOS.
No. Oh, I thought you meant for this one.
No. Well, in either.
Well, yeah. But I mean, the TOS episode is by far, it's better.
Oh, yeah.
Much better done.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, I would call this episode, I think it's better than a 6.9 rating.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't think it's a very high rating though. I wouldn't give it too much of a higher rating. I think it's I think I'm going to sound like a broken record here. It sounds, it had potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we've said that so many times, but this really did have potential to be something more. There was a good handful of moments in there where they were taking the concept and really having fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
But they kind of stopped doing that like halfway through the episode and just started focusing in on, these aliens are trying to take over our bodies. And I was like, okay, I really don't care about this. This isn't interesting anymore. It was kind of like Displaced from Voyager.
It was.
But Displaced is a much better episode.
And it is, although Displaced is not like the best of the crop of Voyager episodes, but it did do this. It's all right. But it did do this premise better. Mm-hmm. It was more interesting.
Well, it gave a motive for these people. It gave the aliens, and it gave them actual personalities. There was a number of them. It took the crew, it took them off their ship, put them into this other area they had to escape from. But before that, in Voyager, mind you, they were slowly being replaced one by one until eventually it was just down to Chakotay, and he was just running around sabotaging the ship. It was exciting. Mm-hmm. Nothing like that happened here.
No.
They all went back to the catwalk again, and I was like, well, wait a second. We were just here.
Yeah.
And then you said, well, they probably still had the set. They hadn't taken it down yet.
They had to go somewhere.
We have to use it for something.
Yeah, we spent all that money on it.
Like, just put them in there again. I was like, okay. And it wasn't nearly as cool as the first time.
No, it didn't have any substance to it.
They didn't dress it up like they did before.
No, there wasn't a need for it.
No.
But also it was just kind of, well, all right.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah.
But also they didn't, I don't know if they explained, maybe I missed it because I didn't nod off. I saw you did.
But that's not fair. We're doing this after I've been at work all day.
So there was a point in the episode in the third act where they're all hiding in the catwalk and they're looking for Trip. And then Trip turns out to be inhabited by an alien. Mm-hmm. He's in the catwalk. How could he get there? Like, how did the alien take over his body in the catwalk? It seemed like they couldn't get through the whatever shielding the catwalk had.
Whoa.
That's why they were all there.
Yeah.
But they don't explain that.
But it must have happened right before. He must have been out of the catwalk, but they weren't supposed to. Yeah, I don't know. I must have missed that.
They don't make any head. They don't make heads or tails of it. He just Malcolm goes looking for him. It's like Trip.
Right.
And then Captain, I can't find Trip. He's like, what are you talking about? He's in here somewhere. Go look again. Then he finds him. Then find out he's been inhabited. So I don't know.
I'm not sure about that one either. No,
I feel like they wrote themselves into a corner right there. Like they just
they're just like,
maybe nobody will notice. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely right. So how could they have juiced this episode up?
Well, okay. What they should have done, which was to build upon the interesting parts of the episode, which were when they were taken over. Malcolm was taken over. Hoshi was taken over. Obviously, Trip was. One of the engineers, one of the extras was taken over.
Mm-hmm.
Rostov, thank you. Whenever a person is taken over, this alien, of course, doesn't know how to behave like a normal human being, and it creates for some awkward situations, sometimes funny. And those were the interesting parts of the episode. And they did it, maybe 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
But they I'm not saying they had to keep doing that, but expand on that. Like there was one moment, it was Malcolm was in a turbo lift,
mm-hmm.
and he's taken over by an alien, and he has my favorite line of the episode: "Are you a female?" Well, I'm a male, and
I'm a male.
It's sounding very predatory, and she's it's a very, very uncomfortably tight space.
Yeah,
but that moment, it was supposed to be funny, and it was awkward and funny. But they could have done more with that. They played a little bit with it with Trip when he was. They found him when he was sitting down with a bunch of food, like he had a buffet of like desserts, and he was talking to them about, I've never eaten anything before. This is so interesting. I was like, well, okay, do more of that. I was like, have one of these creatures stay inside the body longer, and then go from there. Like have an alien inhabit Trip the whole time.
Yeah,
and then the aliens. God, I thought it was so cliche to have them just be bad guys. Oh, they're just bad. Oh, they just want to take you all over.
Yes.
It's like, come on. You can't come up with something better than that?
I agree. There should have been, even if they were going to be bad guys, ultimately, in the end, there should have been something that they were doing that was of some interest to us, the viewer.
Yeah, the only reason they were doing this was because their ship was falling apart or something like that.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
Well, which honestly was when...
Well, the music and the way they shoot this, the styling of the scene gives it away. Like we know they're up to no good. The music, the soundtrack is telling us. Like, there's no mystery.
Right.
Come on.
Well, when... It just kind of, the logic falls apart because when Tucker is taken over and he's in the mess hall and he's eating... And he's telling them that, they're non-corporeal, and they evolved, obviously, some time ago.
Eons ago.
Eons. And he said that they can't survive in space, so they have this ship. Like, you're telling me that ship is ridiculously old?
Yeah, I don't get why they needed the ship.
And if you're non-corporeal, how do you operate it?
They're floating around as little clouds. They're going in space. They're going through bulkheads and whatnot into space, into their ship. So what?
Yes, they are. So they can clearly. It doesn't make their own logic doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they seem to be like the Calamarain.
They're like the Calamarain, and they're like Ian.
God,
from
Ian. No, Ian.
No. It's okay. Everything will be all right.
Everything will be all right. Oh my God.
Come to see your baby. My goodness. Yeah. His little wispy cloud looked like that, and like all
is that all Enterprise writers are doing? Is just taking little.
I think they are, dude. Arguably, they look more like the Calamarain than the Cloud and Obsession.
Yeah.
And the Calamarain were described as being hostile.
No, flighty.
Give us that. Like, if you're gonna do it, do it. You know, we don't know anything about the Calamarain. And so it would have been interesting to have maybe show us what flighty is, you know, for them. You know, what must it take for a Q to call a species flighty?
Right. You know?
Either that or have this be a ship of Cloud people like Ian. You know, maybe they're not bad. You know,
they just want to experience.
That's the genius about The Child, TNG season 1. 2. I'm sorry.
First
episode
season.
1, season 2.
Yeah, first episode.
Where we, the audience, are kept in the dark about what Ian
his intentions are.
What his intentions are. And they definitely play it ominously.
Oh, yeah.
And it's only at the very end when
we find out what he wants.
When he finds out that he was just there to visit, you know? But that mystery was kept alive, which made it interesting. And it makes everything that kid does creepy.
Very suspect.
Yeah, very suspect.
Like, it makes the scene where he intentionally burns himself.
Yeah.
But then he allowed himself to be burned. Yes, for the experience. Like, ooh. Yeah. It turns it into a very chilling scene because like, what the hell is this kid doing? What is this thing?
And when he says that, it's okay. Everything will be all right. That's genuinely terrifying.
But then they ask him point blank in that scene.
Are you ready to tell us what you're doing here?
No.
Not
yet. And you're like, oh my God.
And you're like, what's going on? Great.
I know. And
that's great.
Yeah.
It's similar, not exactly, but similar to the Nth Degree, where Barclay's brain is jacked up so that he can get the Enterprise to this place. And we don't know why. Yeah, and it's only at the end when we realize they're benevolent.
Not malevolent.
Benevolent.
Yeah.
Great. You know, commit to it for one, and make it make the journey interesting. And there's certainly potential interesting things.
That's what they should have done when Trip was the first person taken over, and he was the one that was explored the most.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they should have done. It should have just been one alien. Maybe he could have inhabited a different body, but it should have been the same alien each time.
Jumping around. Maybe.
Sure, maybe. But he speaks from, so we can have each actor get their turn playing this alien. But it comes off kind of like Ian, where he's a little curious, but a little suspect too. Like, what does he want? You know, and in the end, I'm not saying it had to be something just like what Ian was doing, but I'm sure they could have hashed out something. Certainly.
Well, maybe this really does come down to the writers or the producers, you know, catching up on old episodes of TNG or Voyager or whatnot, going, hey, so you know that Ian episode? Like, that was cool, but what if he was a bad guy? So and remember that Displaced episode? Like,
let's put it in
they were kind of friendly, but they had bad intentions. Yeah, maybe we can put it together. No one will notice.
Yeah. And maybe we can have these Calamarain, who are wisps of clouds, use a ship for some reason, even though they wouldn't really need it.
And we'll prove to them.
And it blows up really easily at the end with two little tiny toothpick torpedoes.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Very weak.
Yeah, that was... this episode had one of the most abrupt endings ever.
Well, they're out. Let's go.
No, it was like, okay, Doc, thanks for saving my life. Roll credits.
It really was. Like,
I was like,
shocked us both. I thought for sure they were going to go to the bridge and have a quick conversation.
Like talk to the rest of the crew. Oh, it's nice to be back again. Something like that.
I mean, they did that. How many? Do you recall how many they said were on that ship? Like thousands.
Yeah, something like that.
So they just murdered thousands of these creatures, right? Regardless of their intentions. They did murder them. And I mean, I guess it would have been
it's not murder if it's in self-defense, really.
Could they have just gotten away?
Well,
I know they proved that the alien ship at the beginning could overtake them.
Yeah. So what choice really did they have?
I don't know. Maybe
what choice did the writers give them?
The writers, well, they could have disabled the ship.
Okay.
But, I guess it would have been inappropriate to then go to the bridge and have a TOS moment with Archer sitting in his chair and goes, how many torpedoes did you fire? Oh, 2, sir. Oh, smack him on the belly. Like, he would always smack someone, Kirk would give a quick ribbing to Scotty or something. Ha ha, you devil, you beam those tribbles over to the Klingons. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
I guess it would have been inappropriate.
Probably in this context.
But they did kill thousands of people.
Or whatever those things were.
Life forms.
Non-corporeal beings.
Yeah, life forms.
Going back to what did work in this episode, I'm not saying this episode is bad. It's fine. It definitely was better in memory. Would you agree?
Yes. My memory was that this was a stronger episode.
Yeah, me too. Definitely.
It started okay.
Yes,
started
it did.
Like you're interested.
It had a decent hook.
But then it quickly just like they keep doing this. Like,
no, I'd say the first 25 minutes were fine. We're okay. But they didn't take, like I said, they didn't take that concept to the next level. They just played the same part of it over and over and over again. Oh, somebody else has been taken over. Somebody else has been taken over. And that was it. They just kept playing that same game again and again. But of course, this gave some good moments for the characters, for the actors. Whenever they were taken over, they did a good job. When Reed was taken over, when Hoshi was taken over,
Reed was the most fun.
They really felt like different people.
Yeah.
And I was like, they did a good job. Good for them.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. That must have been fun for them to play.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah, I mean, Hoshi got all like kung fu and started kicking Phlox.
She just like that rapid fire kicking, right? Good God.
Of course, Phlox fell for the oldest trick in the book.
He had to, though. That was
he's a doctor.
He had to.
Couldn't he have taken a security guard with him or something?
He should have.
Why didn't he? Plot?
Plot on him. Yeah. Plot wouldn't allow him. Maybe an interesting way they could have gone with the episode is, like you said, what if it was just one alien? One wisp. Or maybe 2 or 3, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that they can jump into other people's bodies, let's say, so maybe wherever they are, it could come down to like paranoia. People see someone looks down the hall and they see 2 people talking. They're like, are those the aliens talking? Like,
what else this is like? This is where we got the Soapy Chakotay award. From that episode where it's taken over Chakotay and Tuvok at the same time. What is that one? Of course,
I forget the name.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like maybe that's a way they could have gone where the crew would start getting suspicious of each other because they're like, is he taking over? Kind of like, of course, we're referencing another episode, kind of like TNG season 1, Conspiracy.
Yeah.
Where they're like asking questions. Oh, where did you meet Beverly? I didn't meet her. You introduced us or whatever, memory, You don't
have a brother, 2 sisters, something like that.
Yeah. And then whatever. Yeah. Whatever, like that was interesting, but they didn't do any of that, unfortunately.
Well, for starters, they really needed to come up with a better motive for these aliens, for an alien. I think it would have been better if you're right. It was just one or 2.
Yeah.
They don't need a ship.
No, the ship was a mistake.
No, I mean, it could have happened. Maybe they were on a planet or something like that.
Maybe they could change their shape and the wisp cloud could like take over the Enterprise, like encompass it and then shrink down and go into one person or something.
Look at another body inhabitant episode, Power Play. I mean, they played us to think that, they were from the Essex.
Sure.
And then
but really they were from the starship Uxmal.
A star system called Uxmal.
Yeah.
And they were prisoners left on this planet.
Yeah.
So, they kind of kept you in the dark about what their motives were. They were bad guys.
Well, yeah, you knew they were no good.
Yes, but I mean, still, what their real intentions were, you didn't know. It kept you guessing until the end.
Yeah.
And
it was a thrilling ending.
Yeah, it
was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And even though not a whole lot happens at the end of Power Play, as far as the tension going to the cargo bay, the tension is in knowing, and Riker says it,
that they're going to blow the door.
All he's got to do is say one word, and they're all dead. Great.
Compare that to the tension in this episode of Phlox turning a wheel a little wheel on a pipe,
and being told to put his back into it, to use
your
leg
foot as leverage. No, that was before.
Okay.
The tension, the action music was playing over him turning the knob, and then Trip is trying to knock him off. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I guess this is the exciting climax, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that really the best they could come up with?
Well, yes, it was.
Oh man, it's
unfortunate. Even
it was nice to see Phlox get to save the day.
Yes, it was nice to see that.
He was funny. I liked watching him.
Sure. I mean, he's John Billingsley.
Yes, he was funny.
He's watchable. But kind of even reminds me of another episode.
Okay, another one.
Lonely Among Us.
Yeah, I was thinking of that one too. Yeah.
Where, they're getting zapped and it's going from person to person. And
they're unaware of when they're taking over.
Well, not only that, but Picard starts putting them on a course for something to where they're going, wait, what's wrong?
And then they have a meeting.
Yeah. They're like, this is no good.
But he hasn't done anything weird enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there was tension in that.
Yeah.
We know Picard is taken over, but they don't know what's going on. They just know he's acting really
Maybe
weird.
It would have been better if T'Pol were the one that was taken over. And then T'Pol could act way different, like an actual human being, have a personality. That would have been fun. That would have been really interesting. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah. Let Jolene Blaylock do something different.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She could have been the one that comes on to like read. This is the other way around.
Are you a male? I'm a female.
Yes, that would have been funny.
Would you like to mate? Well, yes.
Are you? Because she asked him in the episode, "Have you been drinking?" I think he would have been said, "Like, really? Like, I don't know, maybe."
For all we know, that was Malcolm faking like he was taken over, so he could see if he could use this as an excuse.
Yeah. Well, you had said before she had said that. Have you been drinking? You said that line about 30 seconds before,
because that's what the crewman in the elevator should have said.
Oh, that's what she said. Yeah, right.
Have you been drinking, sir?
Yeah.
She was thinking it, but didn't say it.
Mm-hmm. So how about something along those lines? The alien takes over T'Pol instead, and maybe this alien is similar to the Ian alien in that it wants to, maybe it's old, it's been around for a long time, and maybe it's forgotten what it's like to be corporeal and wants to just have fun. And so it's T'Pol going around doing all kinds of crazy shenanigans, I don't know, spinning around in the gym or something like that. I don't know. Something weird, something fun.
Yeah.
There'd have to be more to it than that. That wouldn't last for very long. But I think that would have been far more interesting than...
That would have made for a fun second act.
Like maybe they have to get her somewhere. Like maybe she's asking them like, I was trapped on this planet, but I only have this amount of time left.
Right.
Like my energy, my life force is draining inside this body, but I need you to take me to my home planet so I can...
And I can't go back to wherever I was because in leaving it, there's no going back. So this was my only chance.
Yeah.
So they're racing the clock, right? Racing against the clock. Yeah, sure. That would have been interesting.
Sure.
But
yeah, I mean, it's just disappointing. It's okay. I mean, I would watch it again, probably not in a while, but it's just, I hate having that feeling where I'm just left feeling a little empty inside, or I wasn't particularly moved. I was slightly entertained, but all I feel is this longing for like, what could have been?
Yeah.
And I didn't get that. Something else you wanted to add?
I mean, it's not necessarily relevant to this episode per se, but it is, but it's to the whole series. So I use a Plex home media server, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have all of TNG, all of TOS in there, full Blu-ray, bitrate, whatever, all that. And I'm happy to have it. I watch them a lot. And I have my 1080p upscales of Voyager and Deep Space Nine, and they're treasures of my collection. And I even have the animated series. And when I was looking at it, I thought, I have to have Enterprise. So I downloaded it, and it was of a certain quality. It was not full Blu-ray quality. But then I went and looked and I was like, oh, I can go ahead and get the full Blu-ray quality. And it's a certain file size. It's big, you know. And I was like, this show is not worth that much storage space on my hard drives, right? So I found a version that was like half the Blu-ray quality. And even recently, I've been looking at it going, this is just going to sit there taking up 150 gigs of memory. And I shouldn't say never, but I will very rarely ever touch on episodes from this show. I might hit one or two here and there, but I will never sit down and do a full series rewatch like I will for TNG or TOS.
But I understand why you have to have it.
Yeah, but I mean, I quite literally found myself saying, I'm never going to watch this. Not really. It's not worth keeping here. I can watch it on Vudu. I have it on my Vudu. Do I need this here? And I've seriously considered just deleting it because I'm not really going to watch it. And going through this rewatch with you is just
convincing you even more.
It's convincing me that I'm not going to watch this, you know? Like after this rewatch, I can't imagine myself going back to most of these episodes.
Well, maybe, you know, your opinion will change as we get into later episodes.
Those are the ones I would revisit, you know, but while there are good episodes that slip in there, like, I don't know if I want to keep the whole series. I've actually had that thought.
I think because you're so engrossed in Enterprise right now. Maybe when you get a little,
I've been watching TOS every night for the last month, and I love it. I'm like basically rewatching it again.
Well, TOS is a totally different animal.
I'm just making the point that
there's a lot more nostalgia connected to TOS,
but it's also really good.
Yes, I agree.
And these, almost every one of these, you and I are going, well, that could have been a lot better.
Not almost every one of them.
No, there are exceptions.
Yes.
But generally, we're coming out of all these, like 80% of these.
Not that. No, the percentage isn't that high.
You think? Come on.
No, it's not that high. Go on. No, it hasn't been that high. No, I think it feels that way because the last handful of episodes haven't been like really great.
I think we're looking at 80% of, boy, that could have been a lot more. 10%,
there was a lot of that in the first season.
10% of, that was good. I really wouldn't touch it. And 10% of that was just so bad. I don't really have anything to talk about other than to trash it. I feel like that's the ratio.
That's only happened a couple of times. Like with Rogue Planet and the one we can never remember the name of, Terra Nova. There you go. So
Bernadette.
Yeah, I mean, we even liked, we talked about Precious Cargo and most people hate that one. So, I mean, it's... And I'd watch it again. I mean, not anytime soon.
I'm just I'm not saying that I would not watch episodes of the series. I'm saying that as a collector, and I have all of this stuff on Blu-ray, physical disc anyway. But the collector in me also has my collection in Plex, and the collector in me is debating letting it go because it does not really have any weight for me. Well, and I just don't, it's literally taking space.
Well, if you're asking for my opinion, it doesn't sound like you are, but I'll offer it anyway. I wouldn't do it. I would keep it.
Like Bone said, if you ask my opinion, and you haven't.
Right. Well, is there anything else about this episode?
Terrible idea
that you wanted
You're bound to bump into the Klingons.
Exactly.
And they don't exactly like you.
Anything else about this episode you wanted to tackle, bring up?
I liked it. Like, you know, we didn't say we were in the writer's room, but we really were. I like the idea of like Act 2 being T'Pol being taken over and like just having fun.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have just been the kicker. Maybe Act 1 is the setup, get her taken over. Mm-hmm. Act 2 is the fun stuff where she's doing all the crazy things and we see her not being T'Pol.
Right.
Letting her hair down and
right.
laughing and, you know, in the mess hall, like, did you hear the one about the guy in the thing? And she could pull a data, go, I just got it, you know, and all that, and have fun with it.
Yeah.
And then Act 3 is when the race really kicks in, where she could feel like, and that could give Blaylock a chance to play something else. Like her mind could be going, you know, like a little bit of HAL 9000, you know, I can feel my mind going, Dave.
Yeah.
You know, Like that, then they're racing the clock to download her, just like 110011001110.
Right. So if during Act 2, if during her takeover, they actually are able to bond with this alien that's taken over her body, maybe then it would make it kind of emotionally effective when she starts to kind of slow down and die, like she's losing it, and then they feel like, oh God, we really gotta. But they'd have to build an emotional connection, not unlike the sound of her voice from Deep Space Nine. Not to mention another episode.
No. I mean, I was going to say, like, because you said when she took over, like, T'Pol would have the technical ability to lock out the computer, to put the ship on a course and lock it out. And then they're spending that second act going, you can't run us at 99.9%. We're going to fucking blow up. You know, she's like, I got to get here. I'm sorry. Got to do it. And maybe as her mind starts going, she realizes, wow, there's a chance I'm not going to make it there. Mm-hmm. So she releases the codes because she's not really a bad person. And she realizes you guys might die too, and I can't allow that. So before her mind really goes, she lets the codes go to unlock the ship. And then of course, you know, Archer being Archer and the crew, they're like, we'll go as long as we can. And then let's say they get her there. Or maybe that would be the sad ending. Maybe they don't make it. You know, they're like within eye shot of it. And like she's gone. Like that personality is gone. They didn't make it. Not unlike
I know what you're thinking of.
Do you know
Voyager episode?
Yeah.
Were they're liquid?
Yeah, the liquid people.
Yeah.
And they don't make it.
No.
And you're like, ouch, that's a bummer. That kind of hurt.
The whole episode we watched with them, and then they don't make it.
Yeah. And that was good.
Yeah, it was good.
And so it could be, I mean, if they're going to rip other things off, at least rip off good ones and take the best from different episodes. I think that would have been I just fixed it. There's the episode. You're welcome.
I'm not so hot on that part, but I mean, maybe that part, but not of her intentionally taking over the ship. I don't think that's necessary.
But she could do it and say, look, I'm not trying to hurt you guys. I just need your ship for a little while. And can I hang out until then? They're like, well, you're not giving us a choice. We're going really fast. Like, we can't go this fast. No. We'll make it. I got her T'Pol brain. We'll be fine. Oh, maybe we're not. But, you know, I don't know. But let's see. You know, I got to try. And they don't think she'll let it go. But then she does. You know, like you said, they bond. Mm-hmm. And she realizes, you know, first of all, she's not a bad person, so she can't let them die. But also, she's kind of giving it over as a form of trust too. Like, maybe you'll try and save me, you know? And they try in good faith, but it doesn't work.
That couldn't be the end, though. If they had bonded with her and there was an emotional connection, they felt sad for her death, they would have to memorialize that entity in some way. Like, was she trying to get to a planet?
Something where she was going to, you know, get her consciousness into.
Yeah, they would have to. They would have to go down there.
Then, okay. Then they do it, a la Star Trek 3, where T'Pol goes down.
Oh, and she
melds and goes, I can't give you everything, but I can give you most of what she was. Like, it won't be her, but I can give you her memories.
Who's she talking to?
I don't know.
People on the planet?
Yeah, like her family or something.
Okay.
And it would be, she is gone, but here's her memory, so she'll live on in you. But she is gone. That would be good.
That's good. That's good ending. I like that.
Damn, that's good. I'm good. Manny Koto, why didn't you hire me on? Or fuck you, Rick Berman. Too many Ricks.
We do have, if you want to stay on the subject of the episode, we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
From Sebastian. I believe it's a couple. Yes. Oh, 3 questions.
Oh, my.
Okay.
Oh, my.
Question number 1. Did you also notice the striking resemblance between the aliens and the Mac OS screensaver called Flurry? Yes. Yes.
I'm not a Mac guy.
Justin's not a Mac guy. I am. Yes. I do remember that the screensaver. There was a resemblance. So yes, that was a quick question, but I like that. That was cute. Okay. Question number 2. I really felt the aliens were open to negotiate at first, but Archer nipped it in the bud by being very hostile. Do you think he was very hostile at first, Archer?
Towards
Trip, I suppose.
He was, yeah. And that's why I actually said to you, do you remember, as we're watching, I was telling you, I can almost see this scene playing out on TNG.
On TNG,
and if it was Riker and Picard going, who are you? Like he would do it in his whisper voice. What do you want? So yes.
Yeah.
And yes, this entity,
I think they were trying to up the dramatic tension forcefully, maybe a little too hard.
I think they were forcing the drama because Archer is supposed to be an explorer. Now, the Wisp thing took over Trip while they were, in their ship, the big open area. So it can clearly be done and undone.
Right.
So in theory, Trip is not in any mortal danger. That doesn't mean there's not a risk, but
so we suspect he's not.
I realize that, but as far as Archer's mostly aware, this doesn't necessarily have to be harmful. And that could be the first question he asks. He'd say, because the Trip Wisp says, we're explorers. And he goes, well, so are we. But my first job is to make sure my crewman is okay. I need you to convince me right now, before we talk about anything else, that Trip is okay. And he would say, no, he is. We exchanged before. The exchange will happen again shortly. And then let Archer be the explorer for a minute and ask the questions anyone would ask. Who are you? But not from an angry sense. Who are you? Where did you come from? Is this the only way you can communicate? Questions an explorer would ask after he's reasonably okay that his man is okay. But he doesn't do that. And I feel like they do this in Enterprise a lot. They inflate a situation that someone should know better. We've talked about that in other episodes. Like, this guy should know better or something like that. And it's false drama. And that's part of the reason I think we were a little bored with it, because it's false drama. Just like you pointed out, Trip gets taken over when they're supposed to be in the thing. Like, at least have them run from it somewhere else, but come on, guys, make your logic make sense.
Well, also, because when Trip was taken over the first time on their ship, it's only for a moment.
Right.
And it's not played very serious. It's
they almost don't believe him.
Right. They don't believe him, but it's not played. There's not a lot of fright in Trip's voice, or even they're concerned. But then later, when he's taken over again in engineering, it's played lightly, where he talks to that Rostov. Oh, goodbye, sir. And then he crawls away, and it's kind of light and funny. And then they change, tone very quickly.
Yeah.
Anyway, that wasn't the whole question.
Oh, okay.
So here's the rest of it. I kind of hated Archer for that. That's Sebastian saying it, not me. And I think negotiating and working together with growing distrust would have been a much more interesting story. Do you agree or disagree? So that's the full question.
Well, I think we answered that.
I think we just did.
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of like in our writer's room, too.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So question number 3. Sebastian writes, I must admit, I am not just disappointed by the ending of this episode. Well, you're not the only one, Sebastian. I'm actually horrified. Oh, boy. Archer did order a massacre.
We did not read these ahead of time.
No, we did not. Archer did order a massacre by destroying the ship and killing hundreds of screensavers.
Even though I'm the one that pointed that out earlier,
yeah.
In Archer's defense, I doubt he, just like we, the audience, did not expect those 2 torpedoes to do the kind of damage that they did. Maybe that was a much weaker ship than even though it was big, that doesn't mean it's like super structurally tough, because these creatures have no substance. So they're not going to need like thick walls and all that. It could be kind of easy to pop.
Well, maybe they could have said that, given a line of dialogue.
Oh, I agree.
To it
they should have.
Okay, so the moral problems behind this were barely addressed. Actually, they weren't addressed at all.
No.
Just a casual mass murder. He used the word murder too, so did you. I mean, this is not the evil mirror universe after all. Exclamation
point. Not yet.
Did Star Trek, and then this is in parentheses, at that point, betray its own values? Did it? I don't...
No, because like you said, they were under threat.
That was my defense. Yes, they were.
However,
yeah, it was self-defense.
I think it's a bit of a weak writer's defense, because there was easy ways to write themselves out of the need to
to kill them.
Or maybe if there weren't so many of them, you wouldn't feel as bad about it.
I suppose.
But also, or, have cut to Archer on the bridge going, geez, I didn't expect that to blow up, the whole thing. And he would say, I didn't think so either. And someone would say, well, maybe that ship just wasn't as tough as we thought. Have it be unintentional that it was that destructive. His intention, I'm sure, was to disable it so they could get away. But I don't think he meant to actually destroy it.
Okay, well, what about blowing up a Borg cube?
That's different.
Why?
Because the Borg's intentions are malevolent.
So were theirs.
Yes, but no matter what level of destruction you give the Borg, they will not stop coming. These guys, for all we know, if you blow up their ship, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to go away.
They weren't stopping. They kept coming.
I know.
They went into the catwalk. They still came after them.
I get it, but I don't know. Maybe it really is essentially the same thing, but I don't know. These creatures, even though we don't agree with what they're doing, they can be spoken to. They can reason, even if their reasoning is not what you want it to be. They can be reasoned with in theory. The Borg can't be reasoned with at all. There's nothing you can do. I think you're just
splitting hairs on this one. I think it feels like the same thing to me.
I don't think it is. The Borg are literally unreasonable. They will come until the last one.
How reasonable were these things? They weren't at all.
If Archer, and I'm not, what if Archer had offered them, if there was some sort of solution, they probably would have taken it. But the Borg, they can't be bargained with. They can't be reasoned with. And they absolutely will not stop until you are dead. But these okay, as we were talking about this episode, I was also thinking of the TNG episode, Return to Tomorrow, where...
TOS, you said TNG.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant TOS. Yeah. The one where Kirk gives the speech.
Of course.
Risk is our business. Where there's a handful of alien consciousnesses that are being held in these receptacles, and they ask for permission for some of the Enterprise crew to let them take over their bodies so that they can build android bodies to put their consciousness in. And that is their plan. But one guy, 1 out of 3, he's a dick. And he's got Spock's body. And he goes...
It's always one.
And he goes, you guys, you human bodies, you can't take this. So you really have to get into these robots. But he goes, this Vulcan body, he can take it. I'm going to stay here. I want this. So their intention was to build bodies, And so that was like these guys. Obviously the Enterprise crew doesn't have that technology, but let's say they did. You could have reasoned with these guys to take this over. Then they have a body. Then they're all good. But I'm just saying you can't do that with the Borg. That's
no. I mean, sorry. I mean, Sebastian, Justin, I can't get with you on this one.
All right.
I think that the killing of these beings was justified. I'm
not saying it wasn't justified.
Well, the way that Sebastian phrased it was Star Trek betraying its values. And I think that they made it clear that these creatures were not just going to stop with Enterprise. They were going to keep going. They needed more bodies.
Well, yes.
They needed to be stopped.
Fair enough.
How else are they supposed to stop these things?
Maybe they should have said that in dialogue.
They did not have many options. They had to do something quickly. They had to stop them. They're like, oh, let's just sit down and talk. Clearly, they didn't want to talk. You have to do something. Take action. So I think it was justified. I mean, yes, a lot of those things apparently died. Did they die? I mean, we don't know. We don't know.
They can go through walls. Maybe they just went
we don't know.
Non-corporeal and the explosion didn't hurt them. Clearly, they can go in space, even though they said they couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there could have been some dialogue given to it to, we just, we had no choice. I didn't want to have to do that, but how many thousands of these things, these consciousness, whatever that is, but they didn't leave me with a choice, but they didn't go into that. They had to wrap up the episode pretty quickly.
Well, if I plot the course of this ship, sir, it goes to somewhere called the Uxmal system.
Right. If they just would have cut out the part where Phlox is turning the little wheel. Maybe they could have, maybe they could have fit that in there, but
yeah.
Okay. Did you have any awards for this episode?
Well, I was trying to decide if this is appropriate, so I guess you'll have to help me determine.
Okay.
Because it's kind of a half thing.
Award. Okay.
Does the soapy Chakotay apply in halfway form to Trip? He's
or to everyone.
More so to Trip, because he's the one that really spends the bulk of the episode as something else or asleep in a fashion. Well, it's kind of a cheat.
No. Soapy Chakotay implied that you're in a coma.
Yeah, I know.
That's what
I thought it was kind of a cheat.
Yeah, it doesn't apply. You'd have to come up with something else for this.
Okay. Well, then I don't. Well, then
clearly it happens in Star Trek a lot.
That's what I was going to say. So we have to make one now, because clearly this is a trope in Star Trek.
Absolutely.
Of having your body taken over or a replacement of something like that.
Yeah.
Let's say a body swap or change.
How about the Quantum Leap Award?
Well.
I don't know. Hey, why not use it?
They can call it the Sam Beckett.
The Sam Beckett Award.
The Sam Beckett Award for body swapping.
For body swapping.
Yeah, that's it. Done.
Very good. I award this the Sam Beckett Award for body swapping. Good job, episode.
Well done.
Yeah, no other kind of award.
Hey, wait a second.
Yeah.
Did we answer all three of Sebastian's?
Yeah, we did.
Oh.
That was the last one about the mass murder.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, there was no other awards I really wanted that came up about this episode. Although I did enjoy, this isn't an award, it was my favorite part of the episode. I did enjoy mostly the Malcolm exchanges.
Yeah.
That was fun. His line was, well, I'm a male. That was a fun line. When he's hitting onto Paul, that was funny.
Oh no, that wouldn't work.
But all the performances from the actors, I'd award that something. We don't have an award. It was just something I really liked.
Wouldn't it have been fun if, because there's more than one creature, taking over the people.
Yeah.
So let's say one of the creatures took over Malcolm, just to make it up, and another one took over the girl in the elevator, and they both went, "We should try what mating is like." Yes, let's try it. And someone looks down. What do I do with that? I don't know.
They would never do that.
I know. I'm just saying, what if it was a little kind of, maybe not that, but just the two aliens trying to figure out, what do we do with these things, these bodies in general? I don't know.
They may have been able to do that in a G-rated fashion.
What if?
I'm not saying.
No. Don't. Okay. What if this? Malcolm and let's say that girl in the elevator. First she's like, no, sir. And then you see a little wisp take her over. And then she goes, I would like to go try and mate with you. And then they walk out, the elevator closes, cut to the last scene of the episode. Malcolm's walking down the hallways in Enterprise and that girl, and they cross paths and they go, woo. And they, and have a little, did we, they have like the vaguest notion something happened.
Maybe.
I'm pregnant.
or maybe the stewardesses are actually ghosts, and they could be like floating around. Their bathing suits are floating around without any bodies in them. No.
Yes, I know what you're doing.
I know. That was a really obscure reference. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. Okay. We do need to grade this episode.
All right.
Okay.
Tradition goes.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Sounds like you're unsure then. Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to give this. Oof, man, this is tough. C+.
That's what I would have said.
Yeah, I was like close to B-, but it just fails in so many parts, and it just leaves me feeling empty. The plus I give it because of all the parts we talked about. Some moments are fun, and I like I said, I like the actors doing different things.
Yeah. I also found it very odd, not odd, but that's not the right word. It took me out, let's say, for a second.
Okay.
When that one goes into Paul's brain and she's sitting there, being very quiet, trying to, get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And, comes out and she's a little disoriented and the doctor's there and he goes, hey, don't we have to go do this thing? She goes, we have to do this, Phlox. And she says his name and you're like, ooh, why did you say that?
It sounded funny, didn't it?
First of all, she was clearly dubbed, but it just, why would you say his name? It felt so awkward for her to say his name?
Well, because he asked her to.
To say
he said, "What's my name?"
Oh, all I know is that her delivery felt so awkward.
Well, it did, but that's why she said it.
All right. Yeah. Well, see, I was like so sleepy that I didn't care.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
As this is something you pointed out about something Jolene Blaylock does.
Was she constipated?
Did she look constipated when she was inhabited by that alien?
Not when she was inhabited by that, but in other scenes she was.
In that, not that scene, but other scenes in this episode?
Well, yeah, that scene she had her eyes closed. It's like she was meditating.
No, when she was taken over, her eyes were no.
Nah, that was all right. But yeah, when she's trying too hard to be Vulcan, that's when for me it doesn't work.
So when she was alone in her quarters and Malcolm came in,
she was teetering on the edge of being too her problem is I can't take her seriously when she's wearing that nightie. I just couldn't. You couldn't either.
Well,
we were sitting there.
Can.
I mean,
no,
it's ridiculous. And it doesn't matter what.
Do we even need to bring that up? Everyone knows that.
I know. I'm just saying though. But I don't know. I feel like I'm finding in this rewatch that my memory of Blaylock's performance is different than what it really was. Now, I don't mean that. I'm not trying to take a shot at her. I'm really not. I know it sounds like it, but I've said this countless times. Playing Vulcans is hard, and you can do it somewhat easily as a one shot, but when you have to have a character, that's very, very hard to do. Mm-hmm. And she does it well, I'd say about half of the time so far anyway. The other half, I feel like she's just trying too hard. And I mean, Spock had a personality and he was this and he was that, but he was still very Vulcan, you know? That's what made him fun.
Well, Leonard Nimoy.
Blaylock is no fun.
Well, to be fair, Leonard Nimoy set the template.
Yes, he did.
So,
but
he had nothing to judge against.
I get it, but that's our template too. That's what we base it on. And we have seen other Vulcans, which yes, do tend to act more like Blaylock is, and maybe Spock is the anomaly, but at the end of the day, we're always going to default to his interpretation of a Vulcan. Not to say that they all need to act like that, but I don't know. She doesn't have a lot of personality. Kind of makes her a little boring. I'm going to be honest. It really does.
Well, to be fair, this episode didn't give her a whole lot to do.
No, it doesn't. But whenever they try and give her something, that whole constipated look, kicks in. Okay. And I feel like she's trying.
I think she did, like in the 7th, I think she did a good job.
She did better in that one because she let some emotion out.
Yes.
And that's where I think she tries too hard because, as we all know, Vulcans do have emotions. They're suppressed. She plays it too blank to the point where she has no character most of the time. Think about the TNG episode Sarek, where that one guy is holding Sarek's mind together. Mm-hmm. That guy was like really Vulcan. You know, first of all, he looked really Vulcan.
He did.
But in his behaviors, that guy nailed it because he was very controlled, but there were moments where he was clearly getting irritated or something or flustered, and it showed like in a micro emotion.
Yeah.
And that brilliant. Yeah. That's how you play Vulcans.
Yeah.
She has one look and that's constipated, usually.
Okay. No, I think I understand.
Does that help make more sense?
Yeah, about what you're saying. Sure.
I feel like Blaylock is playing T'Pol almost 99% of the time, like the actress that played what was her name? In Data's Day.
Oh yeah, the ambassador.
Who
wasn't the spy.
Right, but what was her name? T'Pel.
Yeah.
She was no personality. Mm-hmm. And that was interesting for one episode, but that's T'Pol most of the time. And it's not interesting. It's kind of boring, honestly, frankly.
Okay. I think that's true in some instances, not all.
And I say that that was me. Sorry.
Okay.
I say that at this point in time. I know that there's more plot stuff that happens with her later, of course. So I'm looking forward to that in the hopes that she starts to kind of liven up a bit. But as of right now, I'm finding T'Pol as a character dull because of Blaylock's portrayal of a Vulcan. Honestly, I hate to say it, but
do you think that's something you could attribute to the writing too, or is it just to her?
I'm going to say that's her. Because she's the performer. She has to imbue that with the subtleties, and they're not there. But, and I will say this in defense of her, I've been very critical of, oh my God,
Scott Bakula,
who I like in everything else, but in this, there's something off.
You said they've got him tied up.
He feels tied up.
Yeah.
And I don't know any other way to explain it. I don't know if that's an accurate way, but it's not working, something's off.
If it does feel like he's muffled a little bit.
And it's hurting my enjoyment of the character. Like this scene that we talked about where it felt like false drama. Part of it's the writing, part of it's his portrayal. Part of that portrayal is probably edicts from the top, this is what we want our captain to be like or whatever. So, yeah, man. Just as a whole, thinking of deleting.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, if you'd like to contact us, you can email us at podcastnx01@gmail.com. We welcome comments, questions, topic suggestions, questions like Sebastian has sent us. And please, Sebastian, send us some more. Yeah, Sebastian hails from Germany, and he's come up with some wonderful questions so far.
What's a German greeting? Do you know one?
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag. I was going to say that, but I didn't know if I was right. Guten Tag.
It's good morning.
Guten Tag evening. Guten Tag evening.
Yes. So please, if you'd like us to discuss something particular about an episode or something off topic, maybe we can make a whole episode of that.
Sure.
We don't know. You could also go to our Apple Podcast page and comment there and give us a rating. We like that. All right. What's coming up next, Justin?
Oh, man. Oh, it's Judgment.
Oh, okay. I know what that is.
That's the Star Trek 6 episode.
Okay, I think I have some fonder memories about that one.
Yeah, we'll see if it holds up.
We'll see.
This one has John Chuck, doesn't it?
Is this where we hear "You flatter me, sir"? No. Well, that's DS9. That's Deep Space Nine. That's another trial episode. Yeah. Gosh darn it! Which episode of Deep Space Nine is that?
Well, that's the Tribunal. Yeah.
Oh,
you flatter me, sir. You flatter me.
Isn't there a guy like that in Judgment?
No, the Klingon lawyer is he's trying to get him off. He seems like a decent guy, if memory serves.
Okay. Well,
and I think it's played by John Chuck, who of course played the Klingon ambassador in Star Trek 4.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
There shall be no peace as long as
Kirk lives. Bum, bum.
I believed him too.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye.